Who built this magnificent structure? I think I have the answer. I'm proposing it's a 24,000-year-old society of Caucasians or Aryans that originated from the Lake Baikal region of Russia and the Altai Plateau of central Siberia. And they populated North America as well as Scotland and the UK, as I've said in a previous video, which I'll show you later on in this video. I'm Ronan Savage, and I'm going to be your host on the Ronan Savage Experience this episode. I thank you for tuning in. And we're going to expose the DNA evidence linking this population to all these ancient sites, and also to some very intriguing alignments with the stars and mythologies which suggest that this race may have just descended from the stars itself. Now come on, let's go solve this mystery together. The gentleman you're looking at is named John Fiske, and he wrote a book in the middle of the 19th century, the 1800s, called The Discovery of America. And in this epic tome of his, this masterpiece, he speaks of the origins of the Aryan race. And he said he believed it to be in Lithuania instead of central Siberia, as the debate within the school of Aryanism at the time was waging. So, seeing this, which he states clearly here on page 6 of the preface, it says, "It was the study of prehistoric Europe and of early Aryan institutions that led me by a natural sequence to the study of Aboriginal America. In 1869, after sketching the plan of a book on our Aryan forefathers, I was turned aside for 5 years by writing cosmic philosophy. During that interval, I also wrote Myths and Myth Makers as a side work to the projected book on the Aryans, and as soon as the excursion into the field of general philosophy was ended in 1874, the work on that book was resumed. Fortunately, it was not then carried to completion, for it would have been sadly antiquated by this time. The revolution in theory concerning the Aryans has been as remarkable as the revolution in chemical theory, which some years ago introduced the new chemistry. It is becoming eminently probable that the center of diffusion of Aryan speech was much nearer to Lithuania than any part of Central Asia, and it has for some time been quite clear that the state of society revealed in Homer and the Vedas is not at all like primitive society, but very far from it." This is the point where I stopped and went to investigate the Aryans in Lithuania, our next stop on the journey. I was curious, so I just did a simple cursory Google search of Lithuanian megaliths, which means big stones. Megalithic, large stone. And this is what popped up. Latvia, and all these giant stones. So the first one I went to, this was just amazing. I'm still wrapping my mind around how that was accomplished some 5,000-6,000 years ago by our ancestors. They were very brilliant. But this led me to discover this great website and link right here, Baltic Megaliths Deciphered, by this man Andis Kolinis in 2004. And apparently all of the megalithic stone structures in Latvia, which is rest in the Caucasus, where the Caucasian race comes from, the Aryan race comes from, well, apparently they're all laid out according to the stars, based off the map of the heavens. And this guy has gone through and overlaid the map to show, and it does, it matches perfectly. And they even have found the stone called the Divinu Offering Stone of Divini in Latvia, and it's also a map of the stars. It says it's 3 meters in diameter. The stone measures 3 meters. That's 9 feet. Okay, that's almost a car, a little bit less than a car length. It's a pretty big stone, and it's got a map of the entire sky and all the stars in it at night and their positions, perfectly aligned and affixed. And this is in Latvia, where he led me to. So my next study was into the origins of the people here in Latvia, and I was just looking more along that line. So that's where we go next. The investigation next led me to Eurogene's blog, published in 2013, December 23rd, 2013 to be specific. And in this blog, in the section entitled Ancient North Eurasians, talking about the genetic ancestry of the Europeans, it says this. This is the twist in the tale, a component based on a previously reported genome of a 24,000-year-old Upper Paleolithic forager from south-central Siberia belonging to Y-DNA-R, also known as Malta Boy or MA1. This component was very likely present in southern Scandinavia since at least the Mesolithic, see the summary, but also seems to have reached Western Europe after the Neolithic. At some point it also spread into the Americas. This is where I stopped reading here because, well, I'm sorry, it went down and I saw Estonians, and that's modern day Latvia. So in Europe today it peaks among Estonians at just over 18%. That's actually what led my curiosity to think that, well, I'm onto something. Because it just so happens 2 days ago I published a video entitled Ancient Tattooed Druid Priestess Unveils Bronze Age Empire Stretching from Siberia to Scotland. Now say that 5 times fast. And that's the theory that I'm exposing in this video. I'm going to let you watch just a brief snippet of it so you can hear the gist, the connection between Scotland and Scandinavia. And you can see in the picture here on the right is the Scandinavia or the Siberia in Russia, where the princess was discovered. On the left is in Scotland. And I'm making the claim that these are the exact same race of people, that ethnically the same race of people. The DNA haplogroup, the M1 alpha, I believe it is, that we just read about. Well, the further investigation of the connection for Malta Boy and North America and the Siberians and Scotland and this DNA flow, I just did a quick cursory search and I found this article published in 2013 entitled Native American Gene Flow Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Pre-release information from the paper entitled Upper Paleolithic Siberian Genome Reveals Dual Ancestry of Native Americans, which included results and analysis of DNA sequencing of a 24,000-year-old skeletal remain of a 4-year-old Siberian boy, which caused quite a stir. Unfortunately, it also misconstrued and incorrectly extrapolated in some articles. So I went on to read that this paper is currently behind a paywall, so I'm going to discuss parts of it here, along with some additional information from other sources. To help with the geography, the following Google map shows the locations. A, the Altai Republic in Russia. B, Malta, and the location of the 24,000-year-old skeleton remains at Lake Baikal. And this goes into a larger hypothesis that I'm working with, and I'm going to make a video about Lake Baikal and what makes it particularly special and why the Aryans would have built there. And the Aryans are nothing more than the descendants of Atlantis and the Atlanteans, which is going to be the subject matter of the book that I'm going to make. And what you guys are getting is the research and the discovery that's going into the future book. Now I just wanted to delve into the culture and who these people were and what they were capable of and some of their quote myths about their own origins. And this is from an article published in ServenCity.com entitled Secrets of the Princess of Altai and the Plateau of Yukok. It says, in the folklore of the place before the discovery of the tomb, there is an ancient legend that tells of a Princess Kaden. Ducks on a high plateau in the south of Altai is located at a height of about 3 feet above sea level. Anciently considered as sacred territory at the foot of the great mountains, Tabin Bogda Ola is heavenly peace, the second layer of the heavens, inhabited by the children of the sky. Further legend tells how the Scythians, who came to this land thousands of years ago, before they were living beings, came here from the stars and have supernatural powers. And somewhere among the vertices, Tabin Bogda Ola, lived mysterious Huang and his team. Perhaps this man was the captain of the ship. The team will return to Earth of extraterrestrial scientists because, as the story Scythian tradition goes, after several years of living in the world, Huang and his team, as a part of a fire-breathing dragon cast from copper, return home to the stars. Now I ask you to forgive the reading because the person that wrote this is not a native English speaker, and I'm just reading through, so it's kind of hard to correct as I'm going sometimes. I try. Thank you for bearing with. Now I'm going to go and show you some other things. Remember, we started with Stonehenge, and that's in Scotland. Scotland happens to be the home of probably more megalithic structures per geographic area than any other place in the world, except for perhaps the southeastern coast of Britain and Ireland, which are disembarking points from the escape of Atlantis. Because when Atlantis sank, the people that were able to flee went outwards in a radial pattern, and they landed on the coasts. So imagine you can visualize. So we're over at the Stone Circles of Scotland, published in odysseyadventures.com. And it says, stone circles are a type of monument largely confined to the British Isles, although related to stone settings such as the stone rows at Carnac and Brittany, showed below, were erected all along the Atlantic facade of Western Europe during the period commonly known as the megalithic age. There you go. So one of the chambered tomb, this is what the princess from Siberia was found in a chambered tomb, but because of the environmental conditions, she was perfectly preserved. And if you want to see about that, go watch that video. The earliest circles date to the latter part of the Neolithic period, which had begun with the introduction of agriculture into the lands some thousand years earlier. So the earliest circles date to the latter part of the Neolithic. The circles came when the Aryans arrived in the area. That's what's up. They were the culmination of a tradition of large-scale monuments that was first expressed in the construction of communal tombs, barrows, and passage graves. In Scotland, the tombs are stone-built chambered cairns with an entrance passage. The exact type of tomb varied from one part of the country to the other. Some were long and trapezoidal in shape, with an outcurved facade at one end, forming from a sort of forecourt that could be used for ritual activities, while others were circular and much simpler in design. Also, the similarities in the standing stones between Lithuania, Scotland, and the Altai Plateau, it's the same. It's the same race genetically, it's the same race culturally, it's the same race religiously. It is the Aryan race. They were the Druids, the builders of the megaliths, and they existed. DNA has proven in North America as well during the Stone Age. So, is there really any question left as to how the Americas were populated? Am I saying that the Aryans were the only one that came to America? That they were even the first ones that came to America? No, perhaps I'm not. In fact, the America story is a very interesting one that's going to take an entire set of videos on its own, which I plan on making and sharing with you, and I hope that you enjoy. But this mystery is far from over, and I don't proclaim to have completely solved it. Is all I'm saying is that I can see the evidence in front of us, and it is plentiful. I'm going to take you and show you something else, just to add a little bit of conjecture for you to leave the video on. For any students of archaeological anthropology or architectural anthropology out there, this is the Scotland tomb, and this is the Grand Gallery inside the pyramid at Giza. Look at the similarity in the construction on either side of the walls and the construction, the way that they constructed their arch. That's a signature. Just like a painter leaves a signature on a canvas, well, a mason or a druid, a builder, leaves a signature in his architecture. And this is their signature, one of many, along with the circular structures everywhere, and the dolmens, the mounds, the pyramids. I'm going to leave you with this beautiful shot to close. please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this and support my research.